Yesterday, we saw yet another mass shooting occur in the US. And I don't know what really to say. This is honestly just kind of. It's insane to me. And looking at the arguments on both sides right now politically and other less political points that have been made, I can't accept any other reality than that the US has failed at protecting not only its people but specifically its children. Yesterday, May 6th, 2023, a mass shooting occurred at the Allen Premium Outlets Mall in Texas. 8 people, including children, were murdered. Murdered by a deranged man that I feel like looking no further into. The perpetrator was actually killed at the scene by an officer that just happened to be in the area. Some would call him a good guy with a gun. I'd just call him someone doing his job. 7 others were injured. And honestly, it's reassuring that it was stopped quick enough for there not to be more damage done. But 8 lives were still lost. And what really has not hit home necessarily, but hit harder about this specific case is that I have actually seen the victims. Across social media right now, it's not difficult, especially on platforms like Twitter, which don't really have much in terms of moderation. You can see video and photos from both people on the ground and aerial video from helicopters of at least 5 of the victims, as well as the shooter as well. I have never, fortunately, seen a dead body in real life or, come to think of it, online. And seeing something like this in the context of a mass shooting, I'm going to be honest, is fucking horrific. It is absolutely disheartening, is not even touching at the feelings that I have right now. And it's not enough for me to say thoughts and prayers to the families or condolences or anything like that. It's not enough. And those that are saying such things, people like Ted Cruz of Texas, saying thoughts and prayers, it's not good enough. Policies and change. That's what a lot of people are asking for, and I have to agree. The US, thanks to its Second Amendment, is one of the most dangerous countries in the world. And it is one of the world's superpowers. There are countries that are thought of as violent hellscapes, essentially, that are safer to exist in than the United States of America. It's ridiculous. And once again, that is really, putting it lightly, ridiculous. It doesn't even scratch the surface of how absolutely insane this country's systems are. And it's easy enough for me to say stuff like this from across the ocean. But guess what? over in the UK, we don't have mass casualty events. We, on occasion, have knife crime. We, on very, very rare occasion, have had gun crime. It does exist, because of course a criminal isn't going to follow the rules set. But just look to the north, not even crossing the ocean. Look at Canada, who has pretty standard gun laws that aren't that too dissimilar to what the US currently has, only there are restrictions. And how many casualties are there of gun violence in Canada? There's been 11. Not this week, not this month, not this year, not this decade. In the history of Canada, the recorded history of Canada, there have been 11 casualties of a mass shooting. Plenty of others have died due to general gun violence, but only 11 from a mass shooting. Compare that with the dozens every single week in the United States of America. It's insanity. The US is one of the most powerful, one of the most influential, and supposedly one of the most progressive countries in the entire world, and we are, day after day, witnessing as innocent people are shot down. Innocent people are killed by gun violence. And not just with mass shootings. Recently, we've seen an increase in what I can only say is pointless gun violence, where people simply going onto the wrong driveway, knocking on the wrong door, opening the wrong car, has got people shot and in a lot of cases killed. There are people out there in the US who exist for the chance that they will get to shoot somebody, and are willing to make any excuse to do so. The US is a fail state. It failed long ago, and we have just continued to watch it decline. The Second Amendment was to allow people the option to hold and keep, and in some cases, open carry a firearm. But many have used the Second Amendment instead as an excuse to indiscriminately murder civilians. Sometimes for personal gain, sometimes due to mental illness or insanity, and simply in other cases because they felt like it. Because they wanted to hurt somebody. Now, does that sound like a civilized country? I don't typically talk about mass shootings or gun violence in general, because at the end of the day, I am an ocean over. I do not have a say in what America's laws look like, in what legislation is put in place, what leaders are put in power. But I implore anybody who has any ability to make change in the US, either via voting or if by some weird turn of events you are a politician in the US hearing this, make change. And I can't say what that change should be. I can say what I think, and that's that it should essentially be an outright ban on all tiers of firearms. That's not to say that they wouldn't be available, but it would be way, way harder to acquire any tier of firearm. Stop selling firearms in your supermarkets. Stop having gun shops around every block. And stop giving guns to people that certainly should not have guns. If I was, for some reason, to want a firearm, say I wanted a hunting rifle or a shotgun, say I wanted to go pheasant hunting or something outrageously rich like that, I would have to go through copious amounts of checks. And that would be just to get the license to be able to then buy the weapon. And to buy the weapon, I would once again have to go through copious amounts of checks with the supplier, with the seller of said weapon. I have no need for a firearm, and neither do a solid 99% of gun owners. It's a power fantasy that leads to nothing but pain. And I can't believe that people aren't understanding this. The Democrats need to make change immediately. And the Republicans need to stop blaming everything other than the guns. Because guns may not kill people, but people use guns to kill people. And I'm sick and tired of having to read and see these stories over and over again. And I just want things to be better. I just want things to be better. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Stay safe. Spend time with your loved ones, and I'll see you next time.